Hello, I'm Kyle Henning. I was in a meeting today where I was asked what, in my opinion, were the three largest KPIs that should be monitored. And in my head is the big three. Now, although I'm from Detroit, I'm not talking about the automotive industry. I'm talking about check-in time, DIFOT, and labor to order ratio. Now, let me explain. Check-in time. Now, regardless if you're a private company or you're a publicly traded company that's governed by Sarbanes-Oxley, you want to make sure that you're monitoring your check-in time. Now, what I mean by that is anytime a product comes into your facility, you want to make sure that you're properly dispositioning it within that 24-hour time frame. If you only run one shift, it should be within that one shift. There should be nothing lingering outside of some kind of systematic recording mechanism. So whether it's a receiving variance where maybe the PO on the packing slip doesn't match up or the part number doesn't match up to what's actually inside the box. Regardless, we want to make sure that our check-in is being handled within that shift or within that 24-hour time frame if you're a 24-hour cycle operation. It is crucial that we are recording all the merchandise coming in. Now, we're not just talking about theft or misplacement, but there's any number of things that can happen. I've seen time and time again where an order comes in and something's actually wrong with the receipt of that goods. It sits on the dock, an engineer or a production technician, somebody comes along, oh, I need that part. They grab that part. Next thing you know, it's actually built into a robot, built into assembly, shipped to the customer before you even receive it into the system. Now, this can generate numerous errors, right? Now we have blocked invoices because the ERP system didn't record it in. There's all kinds of things that can happen of this, but not recording the merchandise coming into a building within that 24-hour time frame or that first shift is vitally critical. So you want to make sure that in whatever disposition you place it in, you're recording that, and that's check-in time. The second most important is DIFOT, and that's delivered in full and on time. Now let me explain a little bit. Delivered in full and on time, the DIFOT is a promise. See, we as businesses, we make a promise to our customer when they come in. Either online, over the phone, or in person, they're placing an order with us. We commit to them when they're going to receive that order. That's the promise. So if we're not able to give them what they asked for, when they asked for, and in what mean they asked for it in, we're breaking that promise. And that's what DIFOT is all about. DIFOT, delivered in full and on time, is measuring our promise rate. It's making sure that we're giving the customer what they expected, right? Because remember, we talked about this before. We can only expect what we inspect. So the DIFOT is a way of making sure that we have governance in play, that we can give the customer what they asked for, when they asked for it, and how they asked for it. Now, what happens if a customer calls in and they say, hey, you know what? Something happened. We have some production delays. I can't receive that good until next Friday instead of this Friday. That does not affect your DIFOT rate. All you do is you go into the system because now you have a new promise date. The customer communicated that they want their product on a different date. So remember, we want to give it to them when they asked, how they asked, and what means they asked, right? So if they change the date, that's on them. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't affect their DIFOT rate. But let's say that they asked for 50 bearings, 2 washers, and 20 nuts, whatever the case may be. And we were not able to supply that need to them, right? That's our breaking of the promise. So we call them and we say, hey, this is on back order, or worst of yet, we don't even say anything. We just put it on the packing slip that these items are on back order. Horrible business decision, whoever is doing that in the industry. We want to make sure to communicate up front, hey, we broke our promise. We're not going to get to you what you ordered, when you ordered it, and how you ordered it. So we're sorry. But that needs to measure against us. Another thing that hits our DIFOT rate is, let's say that the order goes out and we record, hey, we did it all on time. But you know what? The customer comes back and the customer says, hey, these parts that I received, this is an ABZ washer, not an ABC washer. You gave me the wrong part. Well, we got to make sure that we go back to that date for which we recorded the DIFOT, and we adjust that DIFOT rate to make sure we record that error. Very important. So delivered in full and on time. That's the DIFOT. That's the second of the big three. And in my opinion, the most important. Thirdly is labor to order ratio. Now, what do I mean by that? So if we're governing our building, if we're governing our processes, we have takt times, right? We understand our takt time, that's T-A-K-T. And then we also know our cycle times. So we know how long it takes to check in a product. We know how long it takes to kit a product. We know how long it takes to package a product and ship a product, assemble the product, the list goes on and on. So we should know from beginning to end what that order is going to cost us. And if we're not meeting that cost, there's a defect somewhere in the system. And that's why it's very important to monitor labor to order ratio. Very important. So those are the big three, in my opinion, the biggest three KPIs to managing any organization. Check-in time, DIFOT, which is delivered in full and on time, and order to hours or order to labor ratio. I hope this helped. Have a wonderful day.